that we pray, Lord, that as we conduct this meeting tonight, that it will be honorable to you. Correct and Christian, and we just pray that you will guide and direct our objectives here, that it will be for the benefit of this county. We pray the same.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Second. All in favor?
Question.
All questions?
HVAC is what in our maintenance list?
HVAC, I'm assuming so. I did not have anything to do with that item, so it's there.
Yeah, I've got a partial list. I've still not gotten everything back from Comfort Air. I'm meeting with them in the morning. Hopefully I'll have that final list from them then. Then I'll be happy to email it out.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The approval of the minutes from January 3rd. Do I have a motion? Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I don't have anything to report. Mr. Mayor, do you have any report?
I do. I've been working on the maintenance list, trying to get it drilled down, make it a little easier. It's incomplete because we're waiting on Comfort Air. That's why you didn't get it. But you will, as soon as I get that complete from them, I'll be more than happy to send it out. But just to give you kind of a breakdown, the county administration building with the phone system, as well as the sheriff with the phone system, we're going to be coordinating that with the new Justice Center, so we haven't done anything on the phone system yet. Once we get everything settled with the Justice Center, then we'll move forward with that. The parking lot was on the list for the Sheriff's Department. I currently have the Road Superintendent, Toby Ellis, assessing every parking lot that belongs to the county, to put together a plan on refurbishing all the parking lots, those that need it, restriping, and we'll have that ready for budget. So all of that will be fiscal '24. We don't have anything that's in dire need right now that needs to be addressed. As far as the jail, internal pipe inspection, the bid is due on that February 16th. The kitchen floor of the jail, the bid is complete, and will be complete 2/9/23, and then we'll move forward with that project. The 30 by 50 storage shed, I spoke with Deputy Chief Craddock, and he has been able to secure a grant for that, so they will build that with the grant. The elevator, we're going to meet with Captain Canner to scope that project and put together options. And then the roof on the jail, the request for qualifications for the architect was complete on 2/7, and we'll be choosing that, I believe, tomorrow. We'll be choosing that tomorrow to start that process. General sessions, to replace those double doors, the mechanical doors on the roof that we had talked about. We're still working on a bid. Got a company coming out there to start that process and see where we are, if we need to do a sealed bid process, or if we can just do it through do a single bid. EMS station number 7, we talked about that earlier tonight. The Westmoreland station needs renovation. It's functionally obsolete. That's something that I made mention to Chairman Show about possibly ARPA funds and relocating that EMS station to make it more functional and build it for our needs now. Let's see, the EMS Command Center out on Airport Road. We've awarded the contract and a PO has been issued on the roof. and that came in a little over $24,000. So we will get that taken care of. They got us on a 2-week lead time. Hillsville Health Department needs total renovation, but that's pending the decision on the new building, if y'all want to build a new health center or not. So we're waiting on that decision before we move on yet. And then we're going to talk about moving voter registration. That's something that they've been working on since 2020. They've partially moved in. They've been using it for training over the past couple of years. To build that out, it's going to cost about $190,000. We've got, if I remember correctly, it's about 275 machines coming in that we've got to find space for. They have to be secure per Homeland Security rules and have cameras on them at all times. So looking at that project, and that's an agenda item as well. Again, the maintenance, we've talked about building out that back section, and most of it we'll be able to do in-house, but we'll have to hire a company to do the door, hire a company to build out the bathroom. We're looking around $75,000. Obviously, we may not hit that amount, but we'll certainly keep up with all the expenses, and what we don't spend, we won't use. And most of that I can probably take out of my current building maintenance fund. Gallatin Library, they're preparing a bid for replacing the carpet. That's going to come out of the Gallatin Library budget, so that will not be a hit to our side. Sumner County Administration Building, the roof issues, that's something that we need to work on and start to get some type of prices so we can put it in FY24 capital projects. So we're going to need to work on that. Lawn care contract for the admin building, Archives, Rehab Center, ECC, and courthouse. Bids due on that February 16th. And then the Archives building, we're still working on that one. The HVAC units, we've identified right now, based on the report that I got from Comfort Group. They gave us a report on the year, model, and condition of the units, and we've got 37 units that are part of that R22 system that will need to be replaced. There are a couple of units in there that are not train units that are R22. They're in okay shape, and they can be modified to take the new refrigerant. So we're not advocating replacing those right now. Let's see. That covers everything on my report. Maintenance list we'll email out to you after the meeting tomorrow with Comfort Group. And tonight I'm going to ask you to formalize the transfer of the maintenance department so we can start to build out there and get them out of the basement. And then also the election commission to formalize that move so we can start the construction before the machines get here. And then also we've been working with the judges on the recovery court. When the new courthouse opens, recovery court will not have a home. So very successful program that the opioid money, a lot of that's going to be dedicated to, and it's a program that's well respected across the state. What we've done is, as children and people move out of that building right down the street from them, I would like to put them in that building and let them take it over. We can do a lease if we need to them for $1, or just house them in it. They're going to try to take care of all the renovations themselves, but they may come to us with a request for some renovation money. But as of right now, I'd like to get that space secured for them. And that would need a vote from General Operations Committee. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have to tell you, I feel completely in the dark with the list that you just read off. And if I feel like I'm in the dark, I'm sure the rest of the members of General Ops do too.
It's been on the agenda in other forums, and I've transferred it to a spreadsheet that will make it very simple for you, and try to clean it up, and that's what I'll send out to you.
Okay.
But this isn't the first time you've seen these items. Well, except for the HVAC units.
Yeah. Actually, I've seen some of those because I went and visited most of them last week. And I would ask that when you meet with Comfort Air tomorrow, that you ask for a service file on each of those units, because just because there are 22 does not mean they're defective. If they're leaking and having to be recharged, that's a different issue. But until they're leaking and losing pressure, they're fine. I don't know what the piping in the jail is about. I've been working on the roof of the jail too, and I've got something that we'll talk about when we get to that item. But if we're going to be expected to spend the public's money, we need to know what we're spending it on, and I don't feel like we have any of that right now. So, yeah, please get us that list as soon as possible.
Chairman, I believe the piping of the jail was something we discussed a couple months ago, because it was an annual or biannual mandatory inspection.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, please get us that list, because I'm very vague on any of this stuff. Okay, so next we have recognition of the public. We have Ron Blanton. Ron, we'll give your name and address.
Ron Blanton, 103 William Shire Drive, Hendersonville. I also honored and privileged to serve these citizens as General Sessions Judge, and I also have Recovery Court as part of my responsibilities. Before I get into this transfer from Recovery Court, I just wanted to give the committee some numbers so that you know what we're talking about, and this is something that I will provide to the overall commission as we come forward in the next little bit. But recovery courts across the country are a formidable way of alternative sentencing when most people in this situation go to jail. These are for people that would not necessarily be in the criminal justice system had it not been for their addiction, and that leads to thefts and other crimes. And it's been proven that those graduates of recovery court have a recidivism rate much lower than the usual. For instance, the United States average for people that go through recovery courts, and this is going to seem a little bit high, but we just did this survey through Ball State. A professor out there, Kevin Cook, did this. He's our monitor of our recovery courts. The United States average they have a 76.6% recidivism rate. Tennessee, on the other hand, in our recovery courts, have a 47.1% recidivism rate. Just to give you an idea of what we do in Sumner County, we are a model. We've been certified every year as a certified recovery court. We just went through a thorough inspection that was completed, I think it was March the 15th, or January the 15th, and on the 20th of January, we received our certificate of recertification for the next 4 years. And I attribute Tracy Bryant, who is our director of recovery court, has done a phenomenal job, she and her staff. In fact, when they went through our files, they found no deviations whatsoever across the board. We had no write-ups whatsoever. And I say that to preface this is that in Sumner County, people that enter our recovery court through General Sessions Court, they have a 5.8% recidivism rate compared to the national average of 76.6. Those that come in through criminal court have a 16.5% recidivism rate, which is well below any recovery court that we can find in Tennessee, as well as probably one of the tops in the nation. So what does this mean? It saves taxpayers about $848,260 a year. And then the last 10 years, the recovery court has saved Sumner County $8 million due to the work of Ms. Bryant and her staff. They're phenomenal to work with. What we're looking for tonight, and talking with Mayor Isabel, is a property located on Winchester Street that currently that's a county property that is being used by children or people. They built a new building and are going to be moving into it. We believe that they will be out sometime by the end of this month or maybe middle of March. Currently, we have recovery court in 3 different buildings. We have about 5 offices in the actual, you wouldn't know it, but as you come into General Sessions Court, there's a little stairway. Come into my court, there's a little stairway that goes up. We have 2 offices there, and we have on the 3rd floor 2 more offices that the Sheriff's Department allows us to use. When we move into and then we have our meetings in my courtroom. We had one tonight, we'll have one tomorrow night for the UI court. But we have these meetings in our courtroom. Not sure if that's going to be feasible with the new courthouse. I'm not sure, the sheriffs have not told us whether or not they're going to have the personnel to staff it for the extra hours after court. Now where we just have one person that has to be there because it has direct access to my courtroom, I'm not sure that that's going to be the same in the new building. So we're having to get creative. We also have a building across the street that we use, and we also have a building, if you know where William Lambert's law office is, on the other side of the jail, we lease office space there. So we're leasing office space in 3 different spots, and we would like to get them all in one location. The building on Winchester where children are people is the old school board building from years ago, and it has currently enough office space where we can get everybody under one roof with some additional room. Now, that building has been modified, but in talking with Mayor Isabel and some of the engineering staff that has gone over and looked at it, mainly all the build-out that they've used for offices for children or people are cosmetic. They can come down, they're not tied to the overall structure of the building. Now, we'll tell you that there'll be some modifications that we'll have to do for entranceway for ADA and have an ADA bathroom. We realize that. However, all of recovery court is grant. It costs Sumner County citizens nothing. It's all passed through. It's not matching funds. These are all standalone grants, and they've been working on the grant for over 20 years on a 2-year or 1-year grant. So they're accustomed in this type of work environment to working on grants, and they realize if the grant money's not there, their job goes away. So I'm not coming here advocating to add expenses to the county. How this will work is if we're allowed to move and consolidate, and we realize it's not going to be all at once, it's going to be over a period of time, but by the time we get to the new courthouse, that all the personnel could be in one building. We could also use, our foundation has accessibility to grants and money. Recovery court, we have a grant writer that writes grants, and I say that because you're talking about personnel from time to time that may be on a grant and lose a grant. That grant writer knows that ahead of time and writes for new grants that are fully funded or pass-through grants that doesn't cost the county a nickel. What we're asking for is use of this building. There's a house that's adjacent to it that's also owned by the county that has been empty for over 10 years. In fact, for the last 5 or 6 years, all the utilities are there. It is deteriorating to the point I'm surprised it's not been condemned. And what we plan to do, if it's approved by this committee and then the commission, is to eventually, through our foundation, get a grant to build a brand-new housing facility for some of our recovery court participants, with the office being next door. And so that's what we're asking, is for this General Ops Committee to approve the moving of, or to allow recovery court, because it is a county entity, it comes under the umbrella of the county, but it's fully funded by outside sources. We would like to be able to move into that building and make the renovations. First, seeking through our grants that we're able to get. I understand that in meeting with some of the opioid money that's going to come in, it's going to be some of it set aside for housing and capital improvements. That's been checked now to make sure that that's true, so it would not cost the county a dime for us to do that, and that's why we're asking this. This is a building that's long been paid off years ago. We're just asking to move into that building and have adequate space. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you. I should have said we're trying to keep it to 5 minutes.
Sorry.
No, great. Pat Collins, please state your name and address and try to keep it to 5 minutes.
I'm Pat Collins, Sumner County Election Commissioner. I live in District 22, Mr. Schultz's district, and I'm here about, this is the General Operations Committee, and Mr. Chairman, you spoke about not knowing after our county mayor talked about the different departments that are going on. In the past, I have asked the previous commissioners to come and visit the Election Commission office to fully understand what the operations of that department does. No one has ever visited us to see what's going on. The fact that many of the commissioners are new to this position, they need to go, in my recommendation, to go to each department. Because we're having issues financially with the budget committee, and I'm not going to really address that at all, it's important that a lot of people in commissions think that the election commission only works on off cycles. We work every day just like any other business. Our staff is there every day just like any other business in this building. And it's important to see, since so many people are being transplanted to Sumner County, to see exactly what's going on and to truly understand. And I think if you come to our department to see what's really going on, and you can come anytime, you can just drop in. And it will be explained to you, you can see every piece of the operations that takes place on a daily basis. And because of things that are going on, and the budget, then what's happening is we are in a red zone for a certain point if that budget does not take place. Our AOE, she's very conservative. An analogy would be, if you like red meat, you like steak, you like to have the marmalade nice to a certain point and not a lot of fat. With Mrs. Ashley, what happens is, you're not going to see any marmalade. That budget is tight. So when it comes to that, like I said, come and see for yourselves. Do not take somebody else's word as to what happens in the election commission with one cycle, when this past year, we had 2 cycles. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. I will make a point of being by. Joanna Daniels?
I just have a quick question on Buckley, but Joanna Daniels, 152 North Shadow Haven Way, Hendersonville, Tennessee, 7075. The Gallatin carpet budget, what was it for? Okay, I didn't understand what you said, so I was just trying to clarify to make sure that, to my knowledge, that was a county-appointed money, and I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't hear where it came from. So that's why I just want to make sure, because I was checking, and according to my notes, it was approved by the county for the library as a capital improvement project, and I just wanted to make sure that that's where it was put at, because I couldn't hear it.
Okay.
So let me make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, with no other people on the list, we'll move on to old business. City of Gallatin's commitment to new courthouse parking garage, Smith Street improvements. I did speak with our representative at the county courthouse, for the new county courthouse. And he said at this moment in time, the developer, Turner, is getting all revised prices, which he believes will help us financially because they're probably going to go down. He expects to have those answers by March 1st on all the new pricing, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground sometime between March 1st and April 1st on the parking structure. So most of the hurdles have been done there. The city did agree to the increase, or what they had originally promised to do. So at this point in time, we should be seeing that happen fairly soon. The administration building and archive building roofs.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is there any action for us to do on this to get off all business?
I don't believe so.
Is it just we can let it go?
Yeah. I'll let it go. So, the administration building still, at this point, has 2 active leaks that we're going to take care of soon. And the archive building, as of last Wednesday, has had no leaks since Commissioner Moss went up there with a roofer. And I am working with several siding crews to see about what it's going to cost to replace the siding inside the mansard roof. So at that, do we need to take a vote to drop these off of old business? Mr. Sidwell, you know?
I would say better safe than sorry, so I would go ahead and do that.
Okay, can I entertain a motion to remove A? All in favor, say.
Question.
Oh, right,
I
question.
have a question. Yeah, so are we coming back to these at some point, just whenever we're ready to act on them?
Yeah, when we have actual prices or estimates that make sense, so that we can determine whether they're under the $10,000 or under the $50,000 range for an architect, we will bring them back to the forefront. I mean, obviously the parking structure is going to move ahead, and then the building roofs. When there's time or necessity to take action, we can. Commissioner Jones?
No, we have a motion to second.
Okay. There's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business, there is a list of 3 items, and I did talk to Mr. Ellis about these. The 8-foot broom sweeper is one of those that he would call just worn out. They have replaced it some time ago before he was ever elected. And so it's just kind of been sitting around the yard, so they would like to get rid of it and sell it. Same with the flatbed truck. They replaced it some time ago, and it's just been sitting there. And the LeSabre was used by one of the
2 superintendents ago?
Yeah, 2 superintendents ago, and it's just been sitting in the yard, so they figured they would sell that one too. I'm not sure if is there action that we need to take on this?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay. Progress on the EMS building roof. Mr. Mayor, would you address that?
Yeah, I did. At the command center, the contract's been awarded, PO's been issued, it's on a 2-week lead time with the company. Did the sealed bid process, and the winning bid came back to $24,000.
Can you tell me how many bidders there were on it?
Just one.
Just one? Okay. All right.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Is that normal? I want to ask Mr. Mayor, but I guess I have to direct it towards you. Is that normal for it to be the one?
Is that
I just want to learn a little more about the process. Is that a normal thing?
It just depends on the project. Yeah.
You can, or you don't always have to, or?
We post it on the website, and we don't actively go after bidders, as I
So it's time frame and whoever bids on it. Gotcha. Okay.
Now, I was up on that roof today, and I went up with another roofer because I wanted to make sure that the spec was right. We did find a bullet hole in the roof right above where it was leaking, and he patched it because he could, right there. It took him about 2 minutes.
Bullet hole?
A bullet hole, yeah. And,
How do you verify it?
it's about 3/8 inch diameter. I just believed him on it. They said it was a bullet hole. So, anyway, if we're, and this is a question maybe for the mayor, maybe for our attorney. If we're unhappy with only having one estimate, because this one is substantially more than the allotted money for it. We have 15,000 in there, and this is 24.
Well, the 15,000's an old bid.
Okay. What is our, can we rebid it soliciting roofers? Commissioner Moss had a guy up on the archive roof who I'm talking to right now. He did a good job repairing. Is this something that we can go back and actively go after roofers and notify them and ask them to bid it?
If you want to continue with it, Lincoln, we've got rains coming in.
Well, like I said, we repaired it.
I think it needs to be fixed. Money's in the budget, you need to fix it.
The main part is there only one leak?
Only one leak that I know of.
Multiple leaks? Was this the same facility where we had to?
Once we fix that, we have to clean the drywall out too and repair the wall. Now, we'll do that internally, we didn't bid that.
Yeah. Well, we probably should make a motion. Would anybody like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to discuss.
Okay, motion to discuss, second?
Second. So, you're saying one major hole that was found is fixed. Mr. Mayor is saying that, multiple leaks. Were you not aware of the other leaks?
I am not. I've spoken to Bill Allen, who I was told was the go-to guy. And steel roofs are interesting because they leak, they don't leak.
And travel, the water travels.
And the water can travel, and depending on the wind, the angle of the rain, they can leak. I'm not saying that it doesn't need help, and is old enough that the seams that were caulked could and should be caulked again. And some of the fasteners, what I looked at in the pictures I took up there, the fasteners, the rubber washers are gone, so.
My point in asking and wanting to open a discussion was just, I'm tired of kicking leaks down the road, I really am, and I'm sure a lot of us are.
Yes.
But from 15,000 to 24,000 is significant, and I understand it's an older bid. How much older is the bid? Can I ask
Well, and the 15,000 was just an estimate to get it on the Gen Ops committee back in '22. It never was bid.
Okay.
So 15,000 is just a number. Somebody said, okay, let's start here.
Is there a quicker procedure to get a second opinion if it comes in and it's at least 20,000, then we know we're in line, and we give it to the guy that did the...
Well, the roofer I had up there today was going to give us an estimate.
Just a rough estimate, even, I mean...
I don't know if that's legal.
Yeah, I don't know if it is either. That's why I'm wondering if there's something else we can do to, just to make sure that it is in line since we only got one bid.
If there's a question of legality, Mr. Sittler is...
Yeah, I'll have to check. Usually the bidding process is very formatted, and if you're not happy, can you solicit after the fact? I don't know the answer.
He earned it for being the guy that answered the call, you know, when we put the bid out. I get that.
Okay, well, perhaps we should wait on it.
And understand, this was a sealed bid. This guy bid it to be competitive. He didn't know he was the only bidder, so it wasn't like he was saying, okay, I can jack it up because I'm the only bidder. He bidded this thing to win that contract. So at some point, we've got to fix the water leak. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
As I explained in that email, this issue is about a 3 to 4 week old issue. I don't know how quick you expect to get things fixed, but...
Well, the only reason why I got pushed now is because I took it upon myself, go ahead and do the bid and fix it.
Yes, without any of us knowing about it.
Well, that's because money's in the budget, and it's my responsibility to do it.
Do we know the name of the company that did the roof?
I don't.
I don't have that with me.
And this is just my opinion, but I'm part of this committee, and I think it's irresponsible to just not have more than one, if we can, legally, if we can, not have more than one estimate on fixing it. You can, I mean, we're spending the taxpayers' money, I think we should be very responsible and very fiscally responsible as we can with someone else's money.
Really good. Please, I think we have multiple bids and complaints, and I think that off Commissioner Miller, we had several, two or three bids that we compare. Commissioner Miller made some good points with the taxpayer money. I agree with Carl. I think if there is some way legally, we can get multiple bids. Like you said, this is not an issue that was, the sky's not falling.
Right.
We're not getting the monsoon. And everything's gonna be okay for a couple more weeks, or whatever it takes, to get multiple bids, you could legally be able to do that, and that's my opinion as part of the committee, that's the way we want to move.
I don't know who is first.
I want to speak first, because I've already spoken, but I do want to speak. Would this not go to budget next, for the appropriation?
The money's already in the budget. It's already been appropriated.
The full amount?
Full amount, everything's in the budget.
So we wouldn't have to...
PO's been issued, legal has reviewed the contract, and the contract's been signed. Fix the roof and stop the leak.
I am concerned about a lot of, we heard from EMS group and the condition of facilities, the environment that we're providing for our employees in the county. We did have a slip and fall. I know we talked, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine.
I know we talked about, this one has been 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm glad we're on this one pretty quick. My concern is that we're continuing to just push things out. So, an inaction tonight means that this is all another month before we're going to even look at this topic again. So that's another month that, is there multiple leaks? Is the one leak that was the bullet hole that got patched, did it even fix it? Did we test it? Do we know? Is it still leaking there? I think there's a lot that we don't really know, but we do know we need to fix the roof. And I think we owe it to the employees of the county to create a work environment that's conducive for them to actually work and be safe.
I agree with everything he just said, but we also owe it to the taxpayers to do the due diligence to make sure that the process is being done the best we can. And if there's only one bid comes in, only one bid comes in. I wonder if we could hear a little bit more about the bid process, the length of time that it's put out there, what website it's put on, to make us feel better about, we did the best we could do, this is what it's going to cost. Can somebody speak to that? Would that be you or Mr. Sidler, or about the process?
There's somebody here that can speak to that. Commissioner Schultz?
Thanks, guys. Sure. Vice Committee Chair. This is y'all's floor. I hesitate to weigh in. I'm just saying, I'm the guy over here trying to pinch every penny we can. I don't think $9,000 for the roof is gonna break us between the 15,000 and the 24. Ideally, we would've gotten a different, multiple bids in there. There is a point at which the probability of more damage coming through or waiting is going to outweigh the action taken now. That's an opinion, not here to tell y'all what to do. I'm just pointing out that, this isn't gonna make or break, I don't think, anything we're looking at.
And I'm fine with that, I'm fine with that, I think most of us are almost here, I just want to hear more about the process for bidding. Is it a 2-week process, is it on the government website, just about?
We have one more question, and then we'll address that.
Well, that was my question, so.
Yeah, well, we will address that after.
I always look at it from this point of view, these are all great points, but we don't know who the sealed bidder was. Commissioner Miller tried to find that information out. Worst case scenario, this is a fly-by-night, I'm not saying he is, or she is at the company, but it's a fly-by-night, we get more damage as a result of poor workmanship. I would rather go into it if we legally can, to say we did our due diligence in comparing 2, 3 estimates to see if we supplied the best warranty, the best workmanship. Yes, I understand it's only, Chairman Chill said it's only $9,000, but at the end of the day, it is taxpayer money.
Well, fortunately, we have the person who bids everything. Ms. Norfleet, could you address the bidding process? This is an educational moment for us.
So we have requests for proposals that are run through the county purchasing, through finance department. It's posted on the county website. We typically have a 10-day, 2-week, they're normally advertised on the county website on Thursdays, and in the paper in Gallatin and the Hendersonville papers. And in this instance, we did have additional scope. That's the difference. The original bid only included 2 pipe booths, and they recommended that we replace all 20 approximately. So that was the difference in pretty much the cost difference.
Okay, and the specification is derived how?
Typically, the county will write it, we'll sometimes get an estimate. We did have another firm look at it, but they did not bid on it. That's what we're seeing in this market right now, is you're sometimes only getting one bid because everybody's so busy. I did email it to to that contractor that had looked at it, and they didn't bid on it. So there was opportunity for more than one to bid it, and they did not.
Okay, did that answer your question?
It does, as much as I hate to hear it, 20 extra pipe boots costing $9,000 sounds ridiculous, but I think that we've done as fair as we can do with the process that we created. So, I think Commissioner Shope is right, we don't need to let perfection get in the way of progress on this one. We need to fix it while we can. Make a motion to approve it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. You're running this one? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just to make a suggestion, without objection, if one person objects, it's fine, but in consideration of our election people and our judge sitting here, could we handle H and then G and go back to these other things?
I think that'd be a good idea, so they can get home to their family.
I want to speak to H too.
Okay, so H first, and G. Anybody have a problem with that? Okay, so item H, approving transfer of recovery court in Sumner County to 117 East Winchester. Judge Blanton already spoke to it.
I'd like to make one point.
Sure.
I would, I have something that I will be bringing forward sometime in the relatively near future, having to do with financial management and the finance department. I did not know, and I apologize, Judge, I did not know that you were going to beat me here for this proper property on Winchester Street, which I'm very familiar with, have been in the school system. If you could, if the committee could seek bid, I would really like to hold this for just 1 month and let me work on this a little bit more. It would be something that I think would benefit the county financially and otherwise, and I'd like to hold on this a month.
I would as well, and the reason I would like to hold on it is because I have no idea what's involved in renovating it. I haven't seen a plan.
I don't know a great deal about it either, but I have all the confidence in the world in Judge Blunt. I think he's probably one of the hardest working judges we've had in a long time, and I appreciate him very, very much. And I'm sure he would cut every corner possible to do those things. It's just that there may be other options available, but I had my eye on this piece of property, and until I can do a little bit more in my thinking process, I'd like to hold on this if we could, for at least 30 days.
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will move that out 1 month. Okay, item G, approving transfer of election commission to 1019 Union School Road. As I understand it, there's already some election equipment in there and personnel working.
Well, they do training, and they can probably speak to it better than I, but they've been using that building, and we had talked about this previously. They've been using that middle section, and they want to start using the front section as well, and then we're going to move maintenance to the back section.
The state has been in the front section here before? Okay.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
we're moving out.
Motion to discuss.
Yes. Sure. I would.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, continue, Mr. Mayor.
Well, that's what we had discussed in the past, and we're just trying to get it formalized. I had thought that it was formalized by the previous GenOps committee. Unfortunately, it was not, and so we just need to formalize it with a vote.
My problem is making a vote on it. I don't even know what we're voting on except to move them there. We don't know what the impact is. We don't know, not that this is the budget committee, because it's not, but if we understood what the renovation would take in both the front section. I'm familiar with the building, as you know, been over there several times, but I just don't know what the scope is.
And the budget, in all fairness, I was talking to the budget committee with the outline of that. I figured the scope within general ops was to approve them to move and budget to approve the process of paying for it. And so that was the process I was following. That's why I don't really have budget numbers for you. I do have them, but I don't have them with me.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the costs as much as I am about what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I know there's a high-level security system.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, we've got, and correct me if I'm wrong, 275 machines, new machines that come in, I believe in April, and we've got to provide secure location for those. And that's going to involve building out a secure spot within that building that will have cameras. It's going to be 8-foot walls, 2 double doors on each side for entry. And then to save money, we're going to just put fencing across the top. That way we don't have to bring in heat and air for it. So that'll save some money. But that'll have to be bid out. And then the other stuff is, we'll build out a counter for them at the front to deal with customers, and then the rest of it is mostly network drops, phone system, and miscellaneous things with the move. We'll have to have a truck carrying stuff over. We use trustees as much as possible to save on those costs. But that's just a synopsis of it.
Okay. Commissioner Jones, do you have a question?
No, I wanted to hear more about it.
Commissioners?
I'm probably having enough information where I can even make a decision. I don't know. Like I mentioned, the documents, we need more information.
That's why I didn't have a question, because I don't know enough about it. I want to hear more about it, like, I didn't know enough about this item.
Commissioner Lynn?
So we're getting, may I ask the mayor a question?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so we're getting these voting machines in April. Do we know 1st of April, mid-April, end of April?
March.
It's in March? Okay, no later than April, my apologies.
Well, we weren't really sure at first.
Okay, so that's, okay.
Essentially next month, and we're getting voting machines we gotta secure.
We've got to put somewhere.
Do we have any other space available that we can secure them in?
Not really, the spaces they had in the basement, I don't think it's going to be enough for them, the way that they're laid out, and I don't think that's going to be enough.
Is there any secure space at the EMS building? That's a huge building, with very few people working in it.
No, it's going to be difficult to secure those in any other building. Yeah.
Commissioner Jones, you got a question?
Yeah, how long have we known that this is sneaking up on us, or has it been sneaking up on us that we've got these 275 machines coming, that we're trying to make a decision on building something for them a month before it's due? How long have we known about this?
Well, in all fairness, I thought General Ops previous had approved this, so I've been operating under that assumption.
The previous commission?
The previous commission, and just here recently, I found out that they have not approved it. It was basically, it was an agreement that the mayor, the chairman made, and we were moving based on that. Same thing with the budget. They had asked for the budget money, and unfortunately, it was not approved, and they didn't know that. And so, the money that we had, which, listen, they cut my budget and didn't tell me either, so I understand. But these are things that just came to light just now, and that's why I put them on the agenda at the first available opportunity, because we do need to formalize it, and that way we can finish it up.
Mr. Chairman, do you have a question?
I do. I appreciate the, member of the election commission inviting us to tour, the office, and I certainly want to be the first one to say I want to tour. I've always felt like I was glassed in, but glassed out anytime I came to the, voting office, and I understand the health standards and all, but it's certainly didn't give you a welcome, feeling to go tour and go on the other side of the glass. But in any event, I'm like, Commissioner Miller, I don't know where this came from. I've never heard of this. And, I guess I missed it. It went over my head or something. But are we talking about machines? Or are we talking about some people, one person? Only machine storage? Is that what we're talking about? Or, And I guess there's too much here to discuss tonight. I would really like to have, someone thoroughly draw up something, show where it's going to be. Is this the old Union High School?
No, sir, it's the TRC building, the Tennessee Rehabilitation Center, right between the health department and the Bob Barker.
Okay, I understand exactly what you're talking about, and there's nothing else in that building at this time?
Well, at this time, the state of Tennessee is occupying it, but they're vacating it now, as we speak.
Okay.
They've used it, had had it since 2001 as a training center, in connection with the state and the county, and you might know more about that than I do, but at that point, the county owned the land, the county built the building to their specifications.
Yes,
They leased it for $165,000 plus a year, but then the county forgave that back to the state. And with COVID and everything, they just weren't using it anymore, so it was vacant, it was vacant basically except for two state employees. So the prior mayor knew about it. They were signing 5-year leases at a time. The lease was coming up this year, right now. They normally negotiated the lease a year before, so we started on this actually for Mr. Isabel. And we began using the facility in 2021.
Well, whatever we do, or wherever we go with these machines, and the judge is not here now, but this brings to mind, I didn't know about this piece of property either, but there is another possibility of what I have in mind with something. But,
I guess the issue, Mr. Hyde, is these machines are coming, they're ordered.
we
They're on
need
the
a
way.
secure place for our machines.
We don't have a choice. Homeland Security is laying on the roof,
Yeah.
They have to be in right 24/7.
Right, there are always choices. I understand what you're saying.
I'm not saying this is the only one, I'm just saying we have to have a place to put these machines
Yes,
when they
and
get.
I will be the first one to say, in light of things going on in our country today,
Yes,
we
sir.
need to assure every voter in Sumner County that our machines are secure and safely stored.
Yes, sir.
So I'm with you on that, but I draw a blank on anything that's being discussed here tonight, and I'd like to hear more detail, maybe written out, drawn out, showing us what is,
We've got it all drawn out. So when we were originally told we were going to have the building, we were going to have the entire building.
you were told you were going to have this entire building?
Yes, sir. Anthony Holt. Anthony Holt. So we were going to take the back section that now Mr. Isabel is proposing that the maintenance going to, that was going to be the machine room. So there were going to be no major alterations other than just securing that room. We could use everything else pretty much as it was, very minimal expense. Now that maintenance is going in there, we have to be completely separated from them, completely separate. There are two large HVAC units in the middle section that condensate, they leak. We can't put the machines under those. We lost the back section if maintenance goes in there, so we don't have any choice but to build this room. And this room added at a minimum, about $135,000 to the cost to secure the machines within that room. They have to be stored there, under camera there, programmed there, verified there, sealed there by the county commission, 3 of my members are here, locked and sealed, sent out on election day, come back. They have to be secure at all times. So that's what caused this expense that we didn't anticipate to build this room. But the layout is basically, I know Mr. Klein's familiar with the building, but you go in, it's an office front, you open the doors, go in the back, it's a warehouse middle, and then there's the back section to that. So if maintenance is one, that back section, we don't have a choice but to build that room. And that was not an anticipated cost.
well, and I understand there is I'm sorry, I understand there's got to be a secure room that is maintenance-free as far as leaks and that sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying, I don't, at this point, I don't think I have enough information, if it came to the floor of the commission. I'm just an ex officio member of this committee. but I don't think I have enough information to vote for this at this time, because there may be even other options of other buildings available, and it appears almost like this General Operations Committee has just been cut out of the picture.
Well, Ms. Isabel's research,
Point of order, Mr. Chair. We're learning a lot about this right now, and it's not the proper place. I think a presentation needs to be made, because we've still got questions here about what's on the table now. I would like to hear Ms. Ashley's proposal and plans and all that, but I just think it's not the right setting for it right now. But we're still blindsided and have questions about other things, not that.
I agree. We'll take Mr. Wynn's question and...
Sure, then I have one after that. Go ahead.
These machines, once they're delivered, can they be moved at all?
these, the new machines, because the reason that we're getting new machines, the legislation change required us to have by 2024 a paper audit trail. So these machines are about double in size and double in weight of our prior machines. These are actually on wheels, like you would wheel a suitcase through the airport, so we can stack them vertically.
Let me rephrase that. Not physically moved, but once they're delivered and they're secured,
Yes.
can we move into another secure location at a later date?
We could, if you know, but we'd have to have the same camera system, eyes on 24/7, that kind of thing. They have to be secured at all times.
And locked.
And locked.
So, go ahead, keep going.
You know, I'm right there with you guys. I think we need more information, but I also understand too, it's either we have an issue that we need to solve for in the near term. Not the whole thing, but let's just pick on one small bite. What are we going to do with machines? I would like to make a motion just to set up a temporary,
There's already a motion on the floor.
secure location, whether it be at this address or another address, just so we have a place to land when they get here.
Yeah. I've still got a question on the main list. So, we've learned a lot in the discussion right now that the current tenant's not even out of the building yet.
Correct.
So, we're rushing because machines are coming. What if they're not coming? Can we tell whoever they're sending to pause? Push the pause button. No, we just handled a major crisis. It's, machines are no longer coming because we don't have a place for them yet. Because the previous tenant, first of all, is not out of the building, and we haven't started construction on the new secure location. So, why can we not push the pause button on the machines that are coming and have them stay where they're at?
Machines are under contract, kind of what you all were talking about earlier, with letting the bids and things like that. So they're under contract, and the county's obligated to take them when they're ready.
But they can be postponed.
I do not believe so.
Delivery cannot be postponed.
Yeah, this is a huge order, but I don't think there's, the manufacturer would have room to keep that many machines at their facility until we make a...
What happens if there's, can I ask a question? What happens if the secure location that is required is not ready? Then I would think they would be liable for sending them to a place that's not secure.
That's not correct. It's our responsibility as the county to house the
They would
machines
send,
that we ordered.
I understand it's our responsibility, but
Yes.
you're saying they would send them to my garage if we don't have a place for them?
No, I'm not saying they would send them to your garage, but we have a contract with them, so we would be in violation of the contract. You can confirm that with Mr.
That's what I wanted to say. So if we're violation, what happens if we're in violation? Is there fines or penalty? What is it?
I would assume would be a lawsuit for whatever damages they incurred by us
For
not...
having to store them for us?
They don't have the facility to store them. These are being made to order. When I say that, they're all the same machine, but they're made by number per county.
I would like to hear more about the timeline of when they're coming versus when the tenant is getting out of the building, because like I said...
Let me just reiterate, there's only 2 state employees left there. They are substantially out of the building. I mean, all of their operations are gone. The tables, the chairs, the desks, everything is gone that they're taking. They've just got 2 women there until they are going up the facility right across from Freedom Church. That's where they're locating to, and they're predominantly already there. So it's not a matter of them not getting out, it's 2 employees.
So if construction started today,
Okay, once we give them the back part, we take the middle part. That way you can put your machines in the back.
But we can't be spending, you all could be doing maintenance operations in the middle with us doing offices in the front and machines in the back. That wouldn't work. And we use the middle section for training all throughout the election for over 400 poll workers.
Call the question. The motion is to postpone a month for more information. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Back to the Sumner County Jail. Okay, I handed out a packet to everybody. And I'm sorry, you've got the black and white copies. And the first sheet is markings by the head of maintenance of the jail, Jonathan Fowler. And he showed where all the leaks are. He mapped this on this GPS map. Yes. So they're hard to see, and I can email everybody the colored version, and I will. So from that, the roofing contractor that I got up on the roof, he took the three heaviest areas, and he gave me prices on each one of them. Now, area 1 is about a $9,600 fee for the roof that's on the facility right now is ETBM. The manufacturer of ETBM has come up with a thing that they can spray on. It's the same material. They spray it on 80 mils, which is about the thickness of the original roof. It shrinks down to 60, and in general, there's a 20-year guarantee on it. So, if we took the three heaviest areas and used this wetsuit, is what they call it, on it, we would spend $9,600, $17,200, and $15,400, and he said he would also, if he were awarded the contract, he would also include any small leaks that are on the rest of the roof. So that's the main part of the roof. The tower has got a problem in that it's about a 15-foot wide rectangular roofing area, and it's leaking pretty badly right now. And he is in the process of finalizing he's in the process of finalizing all of his research with the manufacturer. And he sent me a text a couple hours ago and gave me what he thought would be the estimate for it. He said, sorry for the delay, folks. He said that he could do a repair job, because part of the existing roofing is lifted away, and then there's some problems on the edge. He said he could do a short-term fix if we wanted for under $10,000. He said to replace that entire roof would cost in the $250,000 range, probably. Now, the original monies that were allocated for that roof was to replace the whole thing for $1.475 million. So what I would entertain, if anybody wanted to make the motion, is to have him come in and do the first section, which is under $10,000, which would not require a bidding process. We could look at the success of the roofing, inspect it, and if we like what we saw, then we could do the rest of the roof. The main roof would be another $35,000 or $40,000. And then when he gets a final answer on the proposal, he could give Ms. Norfleet the specification, and we could put that out to bid, as we could the other two areas, and see if we could get it done for substantially less than what was originally told to us a year or two ago. I don't know how long ago that 1.475 million was.
Just a quick question for you. The 1.475, is that a different roofing company than what you're showing us? I'm open, motion to open for discussion.
Okay. The answer to that question is, I don't know who came up with the specification for the 1.475 million. Mr. Mayor, do you have any idea?
A previous administration, I don't know.
Okay.
I would be working from zero.
I did talk to our financial director today, and he did say that that money's still been allotted to do that. I'm just, as, you know, the constant theme here is let's pinch every penny we can. And so that's why I've taken the time to do this, and I think we can save a ton of money over what we originally thought we would spend if we did that. So we would have to get an architect involved in the tower, but as far as the other ones, we can do the one without going through the bidding process, and we do the other two for less than $50,000. We could bid that out without an architect, Mr. Kelly.
So this Neptune wetsuit, is this fairly new technology, or?
Well, EPD, the company that makes EPDM has been around for 50 years, and they have roofs that have never failed in 50 years, but because leaks do develop, you can puncture the roof. They came up with this system. It's fairly recent, and I'm not sure, you have to be certified by the company in order to apply it.
Are you considering, is your proposal considering using this on all the roofs, or just on
Only where we need it. And right now, the three spots that Jonathan Fowler, the maintenance man, head over at the jail, we talked about this, and he said, yes, I believe that would get us done. There are a few other small leaks, and like I said, if we had the contractor I had up there do that for less than $10,000, he said he'd take care of any of those other small leaks at his own cost.
And the large roof that is the $475,000, that's the total?
Yeah, that's to do the entire thing.
Okay. Everything.
The entire lower roof. Not, the tower is a whole different animal and not part of this.
Okay. Did you have a quote? Did you have a quote on the tower?
That's what I'm trying to get. And
that's the one you're talking about putting out the bid process because it's bigger?
Yeah, and we'd probably need to incorporate an architect as well.
It would not be this wetsuit?
It's
not.
No, because they recently replaced the EPDM down below. It's only the tower, and what's happened is EPDM shrinks, and it's pulled up the sheet metal that is on the edge of each, and it's allowed water to get in, plus it's broken adhesion in different spots. So he's talking to the manufacturers to see what can be done, and so that's where we're at.
I like the idea on the surface. My only concern is with this fairly new wetsuit technology, how many other people could bid the process? You know, we're kind of locking ourselves into having a guy that we have to call.
Well,
with that.
That's a good question.
It's a great workaround and a cost saver. I like it. Personally, I would probably do something like that. But as far as wanting to be transparent with everything and how many other people could do that, we've questioned everything else, so I'm going to be fair about the bidding process for other people that could do the same thing. It seems like a really good answer, possibly.
I'm thinking the same thing as well.
I'm sorry, offering a 20-year warranty, like $9,600 plus figure, would he give you a 20-year customer?
He's working on that right now.
Okay.
He's trying to see if the company will warrant just a section for 20 years, and I hope to have that answer tomorrow or the next day.
Another thing, it says, we recommend a moisture survey to determine if there's any moisture. Do you have any idea, or could he offer any idea how much that survey might cost?
Meaning under the product? Like before
There's insulation.
For the existing roof surface.
Yeah, you have a deck, and then you have an foam insulation, and then you have the EPDM on top of it. The foam, if it's been exposed to moisture too long, can deteriorate. They would have to cut it back and put in new foam. We didn't experience any of that walking on the roof, and we walked on the worst parts, but that's a potential. So I can find out about the analysis equipment and what that would take.
And then one-way vents, they're installed for $150. Now, famous, nice to inspect property. Realtors, when they're saying $150, is that materials and installation, or is that just an installation cost per one-way vent?
I didn't even.
I would just be curious to.
Okay, venting. I'll get an answer on that. So, anyway, that's my presentation of the roof. We can vote to postpone, we don't have to take any action on it at all.
How long has this been?
This roof has been leaking for several years. And I don't know how many years, but I know it's at least 2.
Are we ready to make a decision on this, like a vote to, the only thing proceed with fixing it or postpone, or?
The only thing that I would think would be a worthy thing to do is, if we're comfortable with it, do the one section, because that's a simple thing to do.
Is that where the worst leaks are?
It's one of the 3 spots that have the worst leaks, yeah.
I'll make a motion for that.
Hold on. The reason why I was asking was because it sounds like you jotted down, or what you jotted down some questions that were asked that we need to get some answers to on this system. And I was going to make a proposal that maybe we could be ready to vote to do that, maybe next week, if most of us are going to be at the budget and committee on committees type things, that we could do a quick
emergency
meeting to do that vote with those answers to questions. Is that something appropriate that I don't want to wait till next month.
Yeah, I don't know.
It sounds like we're really close, so I want to get those answers and get it done. Is that appropriate to?
I think that's a great idea. I'd definitely be open for an emergency meeting if you guys.
And most of us are on to all those meetings anyway, and I just thought,
at the very most, we're all going to be at a commission meeting, so we could do it 2 weeks from now, but I'd be happy to do it next week.
I would like to get it on.
Y'all just voted on you just voted yes, several of y'all voted yes on a roof that's been leaking for 2 or 3 weeks, with not knowing who the contractor was, and not knowing the amount. So I don't know why you have a problem with something that's been leaking for years. It's in a section.
Oh, it was just about the material and the product.
Yeah, and I can find that out tomorrow.
We'd be locking ourselves into something.
And I can.
Well, they said it was a very common product that's used all the time, and everybody's got it, and I'd be like, yeah,
It's probably the
I'm
most,
ready to do it quickly.
it's probably the most common flat roofs out there right now. There's EPDM and there's TPO.
I'm talking about spray product. The question, if I got that answered, I'd be ready to vote on that too.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of this material you're talking about, these companies do research for, and I don't know about this, but from my experience, they'll do extensive research for years to develop something like you've got, presenting here before they put it out there.
Commissioner Wynn?
I've got a motion.
Okay.
What's the motion?
$9,000 let's give it a shot, for the one spot.
Okay. If there's no questions on it, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes. Could we go to, we are going to the 88 transition plan next, so. You guys have been really patient.
Good evening. My name is Jack Potter, architect with Wool Art Design. Pass some of these out. Actually, we've been working on this for a couple of years. And just finally able to come to you, in fact, so many years that I'm now retired. I've been called back in special to talk to you about this, so I get called back in to do a few other things too. Just, first of all, just to let you know, this is what your report looks like. Double-sided, lots of pages, almost 500 pages. No, that doesn't mean that. And let me say at the outset, and I've done this for multiple counties across the state. You're no better, no worse. So let me just say that. Everybody's got issues. So don't take that as, oh my gosh. How do we, are you going to control it from me, Kim? All right. So, first let me say, the reason you have to have a transition plan is that some of your funding comes through TDOT. And TDOT has a mandate from the feds that you meet accessibility standards and have a transition plan. So that's, in essence, you'll need to, once approved, file this with the State Department of Transportation, that you have a plan. So let's talk a little bit about, we're looking at the 2010 ADA standards. To some extent, some of your older buildings might have complied with the old 1991. And if it actually fully complied then, it would consider compliant today. Okay, I have a quick overview, priorities, and next steps. We looked at 67 locations. And then also, county engineering did a review of the trails and sidewalks within your right-of-ways. Let me say, that is where you have your biggest amount of cost to fix. Of those 67 locations, 34 facilities need to comply with Title II of the ADA. And then 33 facilities have been determined not to have the public actually use. And so those programs are not required to comply. And then I did look at, you have in the county, one existing signalized intersection with crosswalks that the state put in for you, and it's a total failure. I defy anyone to push the button to get it to activate, because you have to climb over the guardrail to get to the button. And there are no sidewalks at all at that intersection. It's right near Beach High School, elementary school. We put together some estimates. We've also looked at projecting what it might cost in the future. And we need to start to look at priorities now. Next slide, please. So your site facility priorities, your signage, both on the exterior and interior, needs to be updated in most of your facilities to meet the ADA standard. Now, a lot of your interior signage could be executed by your maintenance department by putting a good program in and doing a little bit at a time, over time. Door lever hardware, a lot of, this door's been modified, that's what we mean by door handle. So that somebody who has a disability can open the door handle. So there are a lot of the buildings that needs to be done. Again, that can be done by maintenance over a period of time. You need to make sure you have access to the facility. And such as the little museum, pardon me, it's been so long since I've looked at this specifically. I couldn't tell you the exact location until I looked it up. But you can see, in order to get to the older part of the house, you have to go up steps. So trying to figure out a way that will not destroy the historic amount needs to be looked at to provide accessibility to those areas. Interest doors and access to certain activities. Accessible toilets, you've got a bunch of old toilets around that are really pretty bad in some of the buildings. So you need to be looking, how can we address those and fix some of those as we go along? We looked at your sports and playground areas and need to be looking at participant and observer access, because a lot of in some cases, the playground areas are just out in the middle of the grass, and can somebody in a wheelchair get out to the playground areas and utilize it? And then also, the other item is playground equipment fall safety. So we also tried to put together some self-help and design guidance that's in the back. About 10 pages that your maintenance department can use as a guideline of how to address some of these issues, such as signage, some of the access, accessible parking. And that's one thing in terms of the highway department needs to be looking at what the standard is for parking to make sure that you get, when you upgrade your parking lots, that you're making proper improvements for the accessible parking. And again, this is some self-help, so it's not necessarily that all of it has to come out as a contract. And then looking at accessible toilets, and then playground access and fall safety. Now, one of the ways to address some of this is that you know that you have a problem, and that when you go to remodel a facility or upgrade the facility, that you ensure that you put a list of items that you want to go ahead and make sure that you get all the upgrades done. Whether it's an in-house project or whether it's a contracted and design project. Now, before everybody falls over in a dead faint, I'm going to read two numbers. That is, today's numbers. That's right. It's been a while since I looked at it. What I'm going to call as the architectural and general site, in today's dollars, it's about almost $5 million. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying you go appropriate $5 million. That is not the purpose of this, is to let you know what the scope and the issues are so that you can be addressing them. And also, so when somebody comes up and says, hey, you have a problem here, you say, oh, God, yeah, we know, and we're looking at trying to do something with that on the long term. Now, your driveways, your sidewalks, and this is an estimate that you're engineering department came up with. I want to say it was something, let me find it. It's quite a bit of money. Do you have a question for me?
No, sir, I'm just getting in the queue on the question when you're done. Finish your presentation.
Okay, no problem. Well, anyway, I can't remember exactly what that number is. I think it's $200-something million.
I'm sorry, can you, Mr. Chairman, if you may, you said 200 and something?
I think it is. Now, when I say that, you know, you can go and look at it in bits and pieces of these. You take a look at what the worst conditions are, and go try to fix those. The general requirement, as I understand it, Jim might be able to clarify, is when you do a major repaving job and working on curves, that's when the sidewalks are mandated to be up there. That's my understanding from it. Though you've got a couple locations that you probably need to look at to do some repair work because it's a tripping hazard, not just, I mean, let me just give one example. One example is on one of the streets, the sidewalk's only 2.5 feet wide, which is, that's what I say. Now, I was put in, I don't know when, probably put in around.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So, yeah. That's
Okay.
And when I say what you adopt, you and the commission, is you're adopting the plan and knowing that you have issues. You're not adopting any specific money.
Okay. All right. First question.
I had to be first, because I was a long time ago. This is going to seem like it's coming across rude, but it's not. It's just a total place of ignorance. Did we hire him? Is this just a proposed thing or something we have to do before there's penalties put forth? I'm not understanding the context of the presentation.
Okay.
And I would take it differently if I understood the context of the presentation.
He's been working on it for 2 years.
We were placed under contract.
From the previous administration?
Yes.
They asked you to do it, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And like I say, I've done about 6 or 7 other counties that are governmental agencies.
So you're telling us areas that need to work on and giving us numbers, but as far as suggestions on how to fix things like toilets, I mean, toilet or access to the toilet? Because there's some real nitpicky little things in this study that...
This is an overview, because if you go to a very specific, you could probably quadruple what our fee was, and you can ask a couple other entities about that.
What was the fee?
I can't remember, Jim.
$65,000. Some other entities spent over $200,000 on their plan.
2 or 3 years ago, we paid that to find out where we were in compliance?
Required under federal law to have an ADA field evaluation and transition plan.
Every so many years or something?
Yeah, I don't know, I think there's just a requirement, under federal law, there's a requirement to have an ADA field evaluation.
Well, yes, which ends up being also TDOT. Theoretically, you shouldn't be able to get any TDOT grants or money unless you have this plan in place.
And we've never done it in our existence ever?
Not that I know of.
Commissioner Rogers, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted to ask the consultant a question, but I'm actually, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So you're saying that the sidewalks that are in our right-of-ways is the bulk of $200-something million? And I can't get over that because our recent approval zoning requirements that we adopted from Williamson County, I think, require these sidewalks to be put at our roadways. So I'm finding it hard to believe that we would require a sidewalk in a new subdivision,
And not make it ADA.
and not even that, knowing that it's gonna cost us some $200 million later. It's something we definitely need to take to planning, and look at that, because that's ridiculous.
Ms. North may be able to answer this question. When I was talking to Mr. Sutton, he told me about a fix we had to do in my district where the sidewalks were undersized. Now, adjacent to that, there were no sidewalks and we didn't have to put any in. But the ones that were too narrow, we had to increase them.
And we were able, that was pinpointed as part of this ADA transition plan, and federal funding came available through the COVID funds, and we were able to apply for a grant, so we secured over $1 million to fix a portion of the sidewalk.
Could we not just rip them out and...
We'll take them out and then put them back.
Well, what if we just took them out and didn't replace them?
We have to, because our planning codes require us to have sidewalks and subdivisions in our county. And I've never understood that, and it's always been a question of mine, and I'm not trying to take over the meeting at all.
No.
It is 200, I mean...
Yeah, that's...
It is. When we have this is stupid. Our own regulations are costing us $200 million, and I'm not trying to be funny, guys, this is dumb. We are hamstringing our own self by our own rules and regulations from another county. A sidewalk in Bethpage is never going to connect to a sidewalk in Portland.
Right.
Can we undo the sidewalk clause and save our county $200 million? That's all I'm going to say. Unbelievable.
That's possible. Mr. Chairman?
First of all, let me say that Jack Potter is a very stellar person in what he does. I have business with him in the school system, and he's an okay person. This is okay.
Let me say, the county engineering department did the analysis of the sidewalks.
Okay, I have several questions.
Yes, sir.
What was the driving force to have this study done? I don't believe there is a law. If there is a law, I want to see it. Now, it may be that we have to have it to apply for grants, but is there a law out there somewhere, and can you give me a copy of it that says we have to do this?
I believe if you look at Title II of the ADA, that's where the requirement actually comes from.
So every county, Cannon County, Decatur County, Chester County?
Every municipal, also, City of Gallatin had to have one.
And this was not being driven by grants at all?
Oh. It was being pushed and driven by the Department of Transportation, TDOT.
For what purpose? What grant?
Any grant, anything that has any federal money at all tied to it, it goes back to that requirement, is my understanding.
For roads and sidewalks?
For any grant that TDOT issues.
Okay.
And, because TDOT will issue grants that also are not just for roads and sidewalks.
Now, I have one other question. How liable are we if we adopt a plan such as this, saying that we have sidewalks, $200 million worth, that are faulty, roads that are crosswalks faulty, and heaven forbid, I hope no one will fall in a commode with the roads faulty. How liable are we to be sued by someone if we are admitting in black and white, folks, this is
My understanding, and legal as well as other, but my understanding is you may be in more liability for trying to say you have no problems without a plan that said acknowledges that you have an issue. Yeah, that's,
So we have to approve it.
You have to accept that you made the evaluation.
you're approving that you have a transition plan that says, we got some problems, we're gonna fix them sometime in the future. That future may be 30 years, maybe 50 years. And the state has been accepting those dates, because I've been sending, the counties that we take them to have sent it in. Now, when you talk about the sidewalk, and I'll go back to more specific in terms of what one of the major issues is. Sure. And quite frankly, this is a major issue in probably 80% of all accessible parking spaces in the country. And that is that the slopes are too great where the parking is. They want it almost absolutely flat.
Right.
And on a sidewalk, they don't want more than a quarter-inch slope in the thing, and a lot of them have a little bit more. So that's why I say, it's not disaster monitoring, it's not in compliance.
Right.
So I want to clarify a little more than to say that you're going to automatically go out and trace every sidewalk. Now, there's some where you've had some, some raise and stuff because of free stop, that you ought to go take a look at and say, hey, this one's truly dangerous, which is totally different.
And this will be my final question, but why, with the ADA has been in effect, I think, since George Bush, Senior, why were we getting to this just now? Was this a driving force to apply for something?
No, it was through TDOT. Every municipality across the state of Tennessee was required to do it.
But how did we get away with it?
What do you mean?
This is the 40, 30 years.
That wasn't...
If I understand correctly, the state stuck their head in the sand too. But it's been, Kim, if I'm not mistaken, it's been about the last 8 years that they've been pushing this, and they keep moving the end date.
Further away or closer?
Yeah, no, further away. The original end date that I was aware of was 2020.
Okay, you got, Commissioner Witt?
Thank you.
I'll get you in a minute.
Yeah, so, and this might be a question for our law director. Just because you don't know about something doesn't mean that an ADA violation or lawsuit can't happen. We wouldn't be liable for it. I'd be curious to know what an average ADA lawsuit would cost the county, or, let's put the sidewalks out, but just like, door handles or something like that, stuff that we can plan to fix over a period of time, as it's been pointed out. And then also too, by adopting this, you're saying it's just a strategic plan to say, okay, we know these, and at some point in the future, we'll address it.
And you should be putting some money into the budget each year in maintenance that you're specifically going to. And it's not a specific amount, it's just to say, hey.
And they could be changing out door handles for 5 doors a year. We're actually making progress on that plan.
And you look at which doors where the public's gonna use a lot.
Yeah.
And you make, and those are the strategic things that you try to do.
Okay.
You are a little bit, when I say you, I'm talking about governmental agencies, I believe are a little bit more protected than the average public on ADA. If somebody, they have the opportunity to file a complaint to the county, and the county can then have the opportunity to address the problem without necessarily creating a lawsuit. That's what I understand, and that's really what the plan talks about.
Another question.
Okay.
Was this provided, we just got this tonight, was that in our packet that we received, or I don't know? Can we get a copy of everything?
Do we own this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir. And I've sent
Is it electronic?
Some of the Word, I've sent some of the Word documents, and some of the PDFs, and some of the spreadsheets, so that you can do your own updates. This is all yours.
And then I was just gonna add
Yeah, you're just an architect consultant making the recommendations. I get
as
it.
part of the plan, we had to have priorities of how you're working towards meeting some of the ADA compliance issues. And with the new courthouse construction, we are addressing many of those issues that we have in the court. And then, like I mentioned, we have received a $1.2 million grant through the federal COVID money to replace sidewalks on 4 different roads. So we'll just slowly but surely start looking at what the priorities are and replacing. The last 2 fiscal years, last fiscal year, we appropriated $150,000, which we used $128,000 of that to match the federal grant. And then this fiscal year, we have $150,000 in the budget for ADA improvements.
All right, okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just make a motion just to adopt it.
Okay,
We can still discuss after that. Let's
Okay.
make progress towards it.
okay. We have to adopt the study. Is that what we're trying to do here?
Can I get some clarification here, just based on everything you said? I believe what you're saying is, today, we're drawing a line in the sand, and we're saying we're gonna make work in the future with this ADA, these procedures, the plan, address things as they come up. That's the whole intent of this whole policy, is to move forward.
That's right.
And there's no way we can limit liability.
That's correct.
So we don't know who's going to sue us for what. Our only recourse at this point in time is to say, hey, we're aware of it, we adopted it, we're moving forward. That's all we're getting out of this. Okay, thanks.
And as an aside, I built and owned a motel in Southern California, and we did everything exactly to specifications by the county. They had standards that you had to follow. Somebody tripped, broke their knee, and sued us for $15,001. We did everything right, and it still didn't matter. Commissioner Sho.
I just want to make sure I got this right. But one question first, and thank you for this, I'm sure it's very thorough. Are you talking, when you say that this is a prerequisite, having a plan to adopt is a prerequisite for TDOT funding, are you talking about TDOT funding for parks and recreation, or are you talking about TDOT funding writ large? I think we've got $1.2 billion that's going to be encumbered here. But TDOT funding for 386.
If it is a county project, and my understanding is based on your request for a county project, not for a specific state project. It's not related to that.
State aid funds that could be allocated for the highway
Right.
department, those could be in jeopardy.
Right.
If we didn't have this.
Okay, got it. That's helpful. So then that leads me to that second one. So I just want to get this right. If we don't say that if we don't effectively, at some point in the future, encumber ourselves with $200 million of funds, TDOT can say, we're going to take your funding away. Is that what this is?
We're not making any commitments.
As long as you're showing a good faith effort to make improvements here as you go, that is not
Then why put the dollar figure on?
That's one of the criteria in terms of putting up what's considered a transition plan. It gives you an idea of as things come up, you may decide that you're talking about one of the buildings that actually has got quite a few issues, the old Board of Education building. Well, there are several items in there. If you remodel that building and fix it, then that goes away.
Yeah, it just, I'll sit down and shut up, but it feels to me like a gun to our head
would add, TDOT has a gun to their head. So, I mean, it's, the gun's being passed down, unfortunately.
I feel like this is like the third or fourth item on this list that we've been blindsided with, that we knew nothing about, and we have no information on. I know Mr. Wynn made a motion, I did not hear a second, I don't know if it's gonna be a second, I guess we need to figure that out first, but I can't vote on this, without more information, I mean.
I want to make a motion, but it's not, there has not been a second yet.
Okay.
I want to make the motion, since we don't have a second on Mr. Lynch. We've got that, we paid for that, right?
Yes,
We
sir.
own it right now.
Yes, sir.
At any point in the future where we see we are being leveraged to accept that, we can accept that at that point in time. I know we do nothing with it, we've got it, and just shelve it for now. We don't have to make a decision on this tonight.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Quite thorough.
Thank you.
All 500 pages.
You're welcome.
Wow. Okay, item E, maintenance You have a motion to discuss, seconded by Commissioner Schmidt. Mr. Mayor, is the maintenance list what you gave some of us?
Sure, I can. Sure, it's fine.
All right, order in the room, please. All in favor of hearing discussion?
Oh. All in favor of discussion? Aye. Opposed? Okay, sorry about that.
I was giving us something to do while we're
That was a list that was already discussed, that as soon as I meet with Comfort Group, I'll be able to complete the email to you.
Okay, all right, great.
I may, well, first of all, another thing that I don't have any information on the list, and I make a motion to push this to next month as well, since we don't have all the information we need.
Second. Any discussion on the motion?
I don't think we even have to vote on that. He said he's gonna email it to us.
Right.
So it's automatically gonna come up if you put it on the agenda, right? Is that correct?
It should follow.
It's only business, it's just.
Yeah, it should follow the whole business, if they do know there's no action on it.
Yeah.
It's got a second. Right?
Any discussion on the motion?
One item that I'll throw out there before we take a vote on delaying this on the month is, I'm really concerned about the children and the lead time for that. And we have continued now, I think it's the third month that we've known about this, and we keep pushing it back. And it's a 1 to 2 year lead time. I really feel like if we can just take action on the one thing, let's at least do that, because we know it's at least a year. And what's gonna happen when it goes out?
Well, I think we're still waiting on a price from Comfort Group on that chiller, aren't we? We're not waiting anymore? So we have a price on it?
No, they're not putting together prices.
Oh, they're not?
I'll talk to them in the morning about it. I just got year and condition, so we can put together a plan and then work from there.
Okay, I thought they said at that meeting that they were, okay, I must have been mistaken.
Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is just push that, hey, we need to replace the chiller, go to budget, and let's figure it out from there. We'll get the pricing and the plan to pay for it after that, because we know we're gonna have to have it. We know it's a 2 year lead time. Can you push the back on that?
And
The children in this building explain, I'm trying to catch up.
So, we've talked about, I think, almost every meeting, well, several meetings, talked about the children's building, it's the air exchange.
Yeah. Is it bad yet though, or is it something where?
We got a report from,
It's at end of life, we don't know when it's gonna go out. The problem is that it's, what Comfort Group said, it's about a year lead time. So if we wait for it to go out, then we've got issues.
12 months.
We've got $100,000 in the budget for heat and air now, to replace units.
I have no idea what that thing costs. We don't know if it's covered or not.
Have we got much in the discussion fund?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. I wanted to continue with my question, if that's okay. Or actually, you were in the middle of talking, I interrupted you. Go ahead. I have a question, but you may know more about it than anybody, so that's why I asked.
No, and my main concern is as far as air conditioning units too, it's sitting on some public calls for work, and just a regular AC unit is 31 weeks out. 31 weeks just for an AC unit, and then this is a year plus. And I just feel like we're delaying, like tacking on that 12 months, 12 months, just push it out. And, I just like we need to make a decision on that one piece. We can push the other 37, 38 AC units, whatever, for separate discussion, but let's at least address that and make a decision as to, do we want to replace it, yes or no? If the answer is yes, then let's push it to budget and let's move forward.
No, we're just discussing still, so.
What's the payment plan on that? I mean, when you order one, what do you have to do? Say, hey, we want one, put us in line, and how much money do you have to give them? You know.
Because we have no idea on price.
I'm sorry, Kim.
Kim's got the floor.
Sorry, Kim.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry.
Talk about when you have some. The question I have, if it's okay if I ask Mr. Mayor a question, I know typically you wait for something to break, and the reason why we're considering this so much is because of the lead time on if and when it does break. We're at end of life, we say, but end of life on something that's 20 years has a, 5-year flex or 3-year flex or whatever. Could go at any time or could last this much longer. Has the question been asked to Comfort Group of what would happen if it broke tonight, middle of the night? What would happen with that unit?
It would break, it would go out, we would put it on the agenda next month for you to discuss, and then if you approve it then, we'll order it and we'll have a year out.
Yeah, I didn't mean procedurally, on our procedure. I'm asking, would they be able to Band-Aid fix it for saying, okay, this is the last repair it can take, it is now in need of replacement because this patch we just did is only going to last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. This patch could last 3 more years, but you really need to fix it. I want to know the doomsday clock that keeps being brought up, if it is a real thing or if it is just another patch we may have to do, and then we do get serious about it and fix it within the year or year and a half timeline that it takes to replace it. Has that question?
I'll ask them that question.
Okay, that's...
It was my understanding just from our previous conversation that there wasn't a fix. It was like goes out and down.
That's my understanding too, but I would not swear to it, so
I just know
I'll ask it again.
I know from industrial maintenance point of view, when something breaks and it's unfixable, there's always a fix for a temporary patch. Just from working on industrial equipment for so long, it may not be the right thing, it may not be the most efficient thing, but there's always something you can do to get it through. The length of time is what worries me because of the supply chain issues. So I want to know, in their worst case, what kind of a patch would it, and how long it would last. And if they do say no amount of patching could fix this ever because it's like Swiss cheese or whatever, then I would maybe be moved to vote with you on that.
Okay, so, any more discussion on it?
Is there a motion on the floor yet? What is the motion?
To push it to next month.
Have we got a second on that?
Yes.
Second, it is.
report, we need more information.
I'm fine with that, Council, because Mr. Mayor's going to provide us with an answer from the comfort group on that question. I'm fine with that, and I'm done discussing.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, no. Okay, I'm going to make a suggestion here that since we have not made a decision on the election commission, that perhaps we cannot make a decision on the maintenance department.
I was going to suggest that, Mr. Chairman, that we wait 1 month, just like on the other.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I make a final motion for adjournment.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?